Hello my dears, welcome back to Let It Cook cooking channel. Today we're making a classic Jägerschnitzel in my opinion. For this we need cream, veal cutlets, that's a bit of caper brine, veal stock, parsley, lemon, salt, pepper, shallots, mushrooms, clarified butter and regular butter, Spaetzle, and flour. In my opinion. What does that mean? There are two different types of Jägerschnitzel, or two opinions I'd say. Some say it always has to be a breaded schnitzel, like a regular Wiener Schnitzel, and then you pour the hunter's sauce over it. That's not really my thing. I don't like when something crispy gets soggy from sauce. So I always make Jägerschnitzel with a plain schnitzel because I prefer the taste. But make it however you want at home. If you prefer it the classic way, in the regular version, then just bread it. By now, you know how that works. Okay, I'll just cut the schnitzels in half. My butcher cut nice thin schnitzels for me, and they turned out great. I don't even need to pound them. That's good veal, so we don't need to go crazy pounding it. Then cut 2 shallots as finely as possible. Why shallots? They're just a bit more delicate in flavor. Yes, you could theoretically make a Jägerschnitzel with a pork cutlet, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yes, I always use veal cutlet because it's more delicate. What's the deal with caper brine? I tried it once because I just had a little bit of caper brine left. And it gives it a very special flavor, and that's a little trick. Of course, it's not necessarily a classic ingredient, but try it at home. I think it gives the whole thing a really great extra flavor. Now I have button mushrooms here. The simple reason is that they were fresher at the supermarket and the regular mushrooms didn't look as good. Yes, normally it's classic with white mushrooms, but it really doesn't matter taste-wise. And now you just cut them into slices about half a centimeter thick, the mushrooms. It's also not a big deal if a bit of onion gets mixed in already, because we're going to fry everything together later anyway, so don't worry about it. This is a relatively quick dish. By the way, I'll link up here how to make the Spätzle. It's best if you make them yourself, because store-bought Spätzle just don't taste as good. Here's a little tip. If you made the Spätzle yourself, for example the day before, and you still have some left over and you make the dish the next day, it goes super fast. Yeah, it's basically a lightning fast dish. Then, before you toss the Spätzle in butter, just heat them up briefly in some water. I've set up some water back there. Yeah. I put them in once, let them swell, then add them to the butter. This makes them really soft and taste like they're fresh from the water. Yeah, that's just a little tip. If you just toss them in butter, they're often still kind of hard, and honestly, I don't think that's all that great. Barabend sauce. Okay, then let's quickly chop the parsley. Well, not really chopping, just a quick slice over it. Just a little chop over it and done. The bell is ringing outside. You already know, there's a little bell down there. If you click on it, you'll get a notification. When we upload a new video, please do it, tell your friends about us, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and join the discussion actively. Let's get started. I'm flooring the schnitzel. Now, what's the reason behind this? That's just very practical, because it has an effect similar to a roux, so if you flour it well now, and then fry it, then you'll notice, first of all, the sauce sticks well to the schnitzel. And the sauce will also thicken right away because you have a bit of flour on it, salt and pepper both sides. You can also pound it if your butcher didn't cut it well. Sometimes it's cut thick with a knife, so I'd pound it again using plastic wrap. Now I add a bit of clarified butter to the pan, just like this. And now dust the schnitzels really well with flour. Now when the fat is nice and hot, you can already put the schnitzel in. Very good. Alright, exactly. Meanwhile, I'll quickly put the Spätzle back there into the boiling water. That only takes a few seconds. Yeah, so you really don't need much time for that. Just put a bit of butter here in the pot. If it mixes with the clarified butter now, that's no problem. I'll also put a link here for you on how to make clarified butter yourself. That way, you don't have to buy it. The Spätzle have come to a boil once. Another very practical advantage is that they're already hot now, so you just need to toss them a little. Now I'm turning the schnitzel over. And don't leave them in for too long now. Yeah, just a few more seconds on the other side, because we want the schnitzel to still be a little pink in the middle, so it can finish cooking in the sauce later. Otherwise, it will get too tough. So, I'm taking it out now. Now I'm adding some clarified butter and regular butter to the pan again. We can use up both a bit, the leftovers, don't waste anything. So now I'm adding the mushrooms. Why not the shallots first? Because the shallots are chopped really small, so I'm adding the mushrooms first. They'll get seasoned right away too. So, for example, if you don't have veal stock at home, yeah, just use some broth, beef, or whatever you have, plus a splash of white wine for a different acidity, or deglaze with it. I have the caper brine right now. If you don't have that at home, use a splash of white wine, a squeeze of lemon juice, basically anything is allowed. Yeah, you don't have to think there's only one way to do it. In the kitchen, there are actually always 1,000 ways to succeed. The key with mushrooms is acidity. Without fresh acidity, mushroom dishes tend to taste bland. It needs a bit of a kick, and you can achieve that with a splash of lemon juice at the end. I can really recommend that to you. Give it a try. So, I can turn off the Spaetzle now. They're hot. I'll add a bit of parsley on top to make them look nicer. So, once the mushrooms have turned a bit brown and softened a little, I can add the shallots. Now I'll add a bit of flour. For the hunter's schnitzel, I want a slightly thicker sauce than with the sliced meat. For example, so that it sticks nicely to the schnitzel, that's why I just dust the mushrooms with a bit of flour again. Yeah. Because we're adding stock later and need to thicken it. And now I'm going to saute it again. Basically, if you want, it's the same as a roux. Yeah, we've got fat in there, and now we've got the flour in there. Sure, the mushrooms are still in there, but the same effect happens as with a roux, and that's what thickens our sauce later. And you need to let it fry a little longer, because flour tends to get really sticky. Yeah, if you don't roast it properly, the sauce will turn out sticky. You sometimes get that in cheaper restaurants, let's say, and it's just not as refined. Yeah, so once it's sauteed for a bit, then you add the stock. Yeah. Now you can already see that the stock has a slight thickness to it. Yeah, I think you can see that pretty well. Now add the cream. And the caper brine. And a small splash of lemon juice. That went a bit wrong just now. I made a mess, especially with the lemon and everything. And now the cream here has reduced a bit. Let me show you this nicely. Yeah, it's wonderful. That's exactly how it should look, as I said, a bit thicker. If it's not thick enough for you yet, then you can either thicken it with some starch or just let it reduce a bit more. I always recommend that you reduce it instead. Yeah, that way the flavor gets stronger too. But it also has the effect of making it a bit sticky. And now let's first try if it's well seasoned. You don't need anything else. I promise you nothing has been adjusted, nothing at all, just as it is. And now you turn it off, yeah, and put the schnitzels in. Don't let it cook anymore now. And now pour the sauce over here so the schnitzels can get warm all over. Well, wonderful, wonderful. Let it sit for 2 minutes. That's enough since the schnitzel is thin. Why aren't we cooking it now? Quick fry meat. Those of you who have already seen the sliced meat know that quick fry meat gets tough if it keeps cooking. That's why now we just let it stay warm. Very important. That way, you'll have a really tender veal schnitzel later. There's nothing worse than schnitzels swimming in sauce that just end up tough. So just take it off the heat for a moment. I'll wait another minute and then we can plate it up. Okay, then let's get started. The schnitzels are still nice and hot. I briefly seasoned them again with salt and pepper, of course, just so you know. Now just put some Spaetzle on top, depending on how hungry you are. This is a rather small portion today. That's also partly because Linus and I have filmed so much today that we're almost not hungry anymore. If you're making this a main course, just heat up more Spaetzle, no problem. Now just take 2 nice schnitzels and place them on top here. And now, of course, what's really important for this dish is to pour plenty of sauce over it, so don't be stingy with the sauce. This thing with the caper water is such a great trick. Try it out at home. I'm very sure that you'll like this too. Now just sprinkle a bit of fresh parsley on top, and if you like, you can add a bit of pepper as well. And now, my dear friends, as always, I get to eat it. Sorry about that. Buttery tender? What can I say? The perfect Jägerschnitzel. Enjoy your meal. Like I said, again, bread it if you want to bread it. I think it's better this way. You could also call it a mushroom cream schnitzel, if that bothers some people. Now do me a favor, leave a comment, leave a like, tell your friends about it, have fun. There's also a link up there on how to make clarified butter. So take care, bye, see you.